Hi, I'm Solly Jo from WoodUbend and welcome to Hometalk. Today we're going to be doing a DIY accent wall with WoodUbend mouldings, Posh chalk interior paste and stencils, so let's get on. WoodUbend mouldings are appliques. They have all the properties of wood, so you can sand them, stain them because they're porous, you can paint them, wax them and distress them, but the best thing about these little beauties is when you warm them up, they become pliable and can be adhered to just about any contour. Before we start, I'm going to put some tape on the wall to get a straight line. This is going to act as a guide for my WoodUbend mouldings. When applying WoodUbend mouldings, always use a good quality wood glue. Now you can apply your glue in two ways. You can either apply it directly to the WoodUbend moulding or to the designated substrate, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply my wood to the wall. Once you've got your WoodUbend moulding on, if you have any excess glue, you can just wipe it off very easily with a baby wipe or a wet paintbrush. Once you've got all your surplus glue off the surface, you can now come back in with your heat gun, heat the WoodUbend moulding up and really press it into the surface. Each of these rolls are 2.1 metre long, which is about 84 inches. Now I want to match the pattern up, so there I've got the same flower there, and I'm just going to come in with my Stanley knife and cut it whilst it's nice and warm. And then all you do is push it into each other and you'll get almost a seamless joint. Once this is painted, you won't be able to see any of this. If you do happen to cut this a little bit too short, don't worry about it. WoodUbend also stretches. So warm it up, stretch it out, and hold it in place until it cools down. Now that we've got the WoodUbend on the wall, I'm going to be doing some raised stenciling with the Posh chalk tropical leaf stencils and the Posh chalk metallic paste. Once your spray mount glue is tacking up, rest this for a couple of minutes to tack up. You can then apply it to the wall. You can also apply a little bit of low viscosity tape just to hold the stencil in place whilst you're stenciling. We're going to be using Posh chalk metallic paste in pearl silver. Posh chalk metallic paste are nice and thick, creamy, water-based and very safe in and around the house. They also go a long way. So here I'm just using a squidgy to apply the paste, and I'm skimming over the surface, making sure I'm covering all the stencil. With this paste you can either leave it raised on the surface or you can heat it up with a heat gun and watch it pop. Once you've got all your paste on the surface, just lightly brush over the top and it should get rid of any lines left by your brush. You don't have to use paste, you can use Posh chalk pigments or a paint of your choice with these stencils. These stencils are heat resistant, durable, and if you look after them, they can be used time and time again. Are you ready for the reveal? Ta-da! Isn't that pretty? Once your stencil is off, if you're using paste, go and wash it straight away. It comes off relatively easy with soap and water. So moving on to the next section, and after I've washed my stencil, my paste is dry, I can now come back in and marry up the stencil so that I can continue the repetitive pattern. One of the other great things about working with this paste is it smells so good. It has essential oils in it, and each colour has a different smell. And there you see, you can't see the seam where I joined the two stencils together. I'm now going to repeat this all the way down the wall, and I'll see you soon. So folks, we've now stenciled all the wall, all the way to the bottom. Now it's time to pre-paint a WoodUbend trim and pop it on the top. I've shown you here how to put a WoodUbend on before painting. We're now going to pre-paint this little baby, and we're going to stick it on the wall. So come over here. So it's now time to pre-paint the WoodUbend moulding before we apply it to the wall. So once it's nice and warm, just open it up. So we generally say that the WoodUbend mouldings take the same time to heat up as they do to cool down. If you want to pre-paint your WoodUbend mouldings, be sure to use a flexible paint. So you can sand them, paint them, stain them. When they're warm, you can slice them. And you can also shave them. So we've now painted our trim, it's nice and dry, and the WoodUbend moulding has gone all cold. So I could take this now, bob some glue on the back of it, warm it up and put it on the wall. But these WoodUbend mouldings, especially the trims, they're so much easier to handle when they're in a coil. So I'm going to warm it back up and pop it into a coil again, so we can go and pop it onto the wall. So it's all nice and warm now, and I'm just going to coil it back up before it goes cold on me again. And this is the advantage of using a flexible paint. My paint is not cracking as it's coiling up now. And there you have it. So let's go put it on the wall. So back to our wall. As you can see, I've drawn a line here, which is going to act as a guide for me to place my WoodUbend moulding. So let's get it nice and warm again. So now I'm going to be extremely careful putting the glue on the surface. I could have put it on the WoodUbend moulding, but I prefer to do it this way. I'm going really carefully along this pencil line I've got going. And I'm using this brush because it's roughly the same thickness, the same width as the WoodUbend moulding. So it's nice and warm now. I'm going to pop it on the wall. And I'm making sure that it's going on my pencil line. and you can see how easy these things are to handle. If you keep it in its coil, it retains the heat from the heat gun, and it stays pliable longer. And don't forget, you don't have to use a heat gun if you don't feel confident with one. You can use a hairdryer, or if you're using a lot of WoodUbend mouldings all at once, you can use a sausage griddle. So now I'm going to come in, heat it up again very gently. I don't want my paint bubbling, and really press it home. So now I'm going to join my WoodUbend on, so I'm finding the same pattern. And this time I'm going to come right on top. And to get the same cut, I'm going to cut through both WoodUbend mouldings. So even if it is a little bit wonky, it will line up. I'm going to take that bit off. My painted trim is on. We just have to contend with this trim down here now. So this one, I'm going to mask it out. And I'm using a very low tack tape. I don't want it ripping my paint off the wall or my paste. So I've now got my WoodUbend moulding masked out. I'm going to paint it. And the WoodUbend mouldings are not just for walls, they can be put on just about any substrate, furniture, they can be used on any surface, wood, glass, stone, metal, plastic, as long as you use a good wood glue. So when you're painting your WoodUbend mouldings, make sure you get right into the nooks and crannies. That's why I use this pointy brush. And you can also use a little bit of water as well to help the paint glide better if you're using a water-based paint. So my paint is dry, and it's now time to remove the masking tape. And our wall is now finished. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and we'll see you next time.